agree with 1 Peter 3:20? I just want to have one discussion.
I'm not having no discussion. I'm telling you straightforward. Go back to Benny with your court.
Why does Peter say to give a defense for the hope that you have? I'll leave, but to clarify, you're not going to give a defense for the hope you have? When you guys teach a hateful and demonic doctrine? And Paul's put the camera on all these guys. It's 40 of you guys teaching a hateful doctrine, and none of you want to discuss with me?
Interrupted, man. Come on, man.
I just want to have one discussion.
I'm not having no discussion. I'm telling you straightforward. Go back to Benny with your court.
Why does Peter say to give a defense for the hope that you have? I'll leave, but to clarify, you're not going to give a defense for the hope you have? Can the Gentiles be saved?
I'm telling you right now, we're about to do a briefing. We're not about to do
Are you the leader?
About to do.
Are you the leader, sir? I'm Lou, by the way.
Listen, bro, you interrupted, man. Come on, man.
I just want to have one discussion.
I'm not having no discussion. I'm telling you straightforward. Go back to Benny with your court.
Why does Peter say to give a defense for the hope that you have? I'll leave, but to clarify, you're not going to give a defense for the hope you have? When you guys teach a hateful and demonic doctrine? And Paul's put the camera on all these guys. It's
I'm telling you straightforward. Go back to Benny with your court.
Why does Peter say to give a defense for the hope that you have? I'll leave, but to clarify, you're not going to give a defense for the hope you have? When you guys teach a hateful and demonic doctrine? And Paul's put the camera on all these guys. It's
I'm telling you straightforward. Go back to Benny with your court.
Why does Peter say to give a defense for the hope that you have? I'll leave, but to clarify, you're not going to give a defense for the hope you have? When you guys teach a hateful and demonic doctrine?
Right, shalom, giving all praise unto Bashima Shabashim Hakodash. The bonus unto the apostles of great millstone, and the ownership brothers that we pushing these truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. I'm the brother body coming out here to give you these truth for the grace. I'm the brother body coming out here to give you these truth for the grace and mercy of your heart. Bashima Shabashim Hakodash. Give all praise unto Bashima Shabashim Hakodash. And I just wanted to do a little bit of a response to this video. The elder had posted this up on his page, and he went into the topic. And you can go check out the video. And I wanted to approach and respond in a slightly different way. I wanted to approach this thing of hate that makes the world feel, considerably uncomfortable. And I wanted to approach it from two levels. On the level, or three levels really. On the level of hate with reference to the wicked. That being us going into the history and refamiliarizing ourselves with the history of the man as the French, the man as the English, the man as the Spanish, the man now as the German, the American Edomite. These particular individuals went out there throughout the world via their doctrine of hate, conquering via the title of imperialism. And you could give me all this slack and talk about a couple of men on a street corner preaching good word to their own people. Now, it is indeed bad words to the world, but that's indeed what the Most High said and sent us to do, man. We're preaching bad tidings unto those Israelites that don't follow the word of Yahweh Shema Shai, and even more so, bad tidings to the nation of Esau and the heathens whose empire is to be destroyed. When you read the book of Revelations, Daniel's the second chapter, Salakia, Daniel 2:44, it says, in the days of these kings shall these kings shall be destroyed. That is not good word to you, okay? You want to call it whatever you want to call it. It is what it is. But when it comes down to it, the category of hate, all right, that category of hate does nothing to the doctrine of Yahweh Shema Shai, in that the Most High within the scriptures hates. Okay, he hates Esau. And this is one of the reasons why he's going to send his son Yahweh Shai, right, to exonerate his people, to deliver his people, and to express his hatred towards those that have touched the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. And that's what the good word is. See, it's all good and well being unbalanced with your assessment of what the men of the Lord do, the real men of the Lord. It's all good and well being unbalanced with it, but when it comes to applying balance, what are we really preaching? We're preaching that legacy of imperialism, which was the real hateful doctrine, that was unbalanced, that was selfish, that was self-driven. Okay, read the book of Habakkuk, the second chapter. You realize how self-natured the red Hebrew Edomite is, right? Was, okay, and will be if he is allowed to continue. In fact, the scripture says this man is so insatiable in his desires for wealth and resources. If his kingdom was allowed to exist, there will be no flesh left to save. Now, talk to me about a hateful doctrine, man. What's more hateful than putting all kind of barium oxide and all kind of chemicals into the air, man? Fluoride into the water. What's more hateful than that? Microplastics all over the place. Did we do that? Did I put the microplastics into your bottle of water, man? You're drinking a so-called bottle of water. The bottle of water is making your testes grow small. Okay, with all kind of BPA. You're infertile. This is the most infertile people have ever been, if I'm not mistaken. Birth rates are just down low. And that's not a coincidence. That's not people, that's not a coincidence. That didn't just happen, okay, naturally. That is an artificial, okay, byproduct of the design and infrastructure Esau's created for you to live. Okay? He's created a box for you to live, and one of those boxes that he likes you to live in is within this Christianity what's the word I'm looking for, man? It's the word I'm looking for. Right, the old out here, he uses that word. He uses that word a lot, man. Subverted, okay, that subverted box of Christianity, man. You've been totally subverted, and you can't understand that you got the hateful people ruling, the wicked ruling, who's the most hateful, most despicable, most disgusting creature that's in power. So much so, food is destroyed. So much so, water is destroyed. You get a couple of pieces of fish, the fish has got all kind of mercury in it. You're trying to be so-called healthy. The healthy food is as almost as poisonous as the so-called unhealthy food. That's how hateful this guy is. He's so hateful. He dropped a ICBM on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the guy in 2026 with dreadlocks, okay, is gonna come up to the men of the Lord talking about hateful. What are you talking about hateful, man? We're preaching good tidings, man. Really, when you understand it, that look, man, Esau's got to go, and if you can accept that, you really then begin to see how good the world's gonna be when Yahweh Shai comes. Yeah, man. Elam's gonna have to go into slavery for a certain amount of time, man. Yeah, Ishmael's gonna have to go into slavery for a certain amount of time. But tell me, after that 1,000-year period, it ain't gonna be good things upon the face of the earth. What's so hateful about that? Okay? What's so hateful about that? Go to the book of Malachi real quick. I don't think these guys understand, man. They don't understand the scope. You want to stay in this system, and that's what you find out about a lot of these guys out here that are so-called Christians, man. You got a good job, okay? You got yourself a so-called virgin woman via the sex before marriage thing and the Christianity thing. I seen dudes that be living that lifestyle. I ain't gonna wait until I get married. I'm gonna wait until I get married. I used to bowl with a couple of dudes like that back in the day, on the basketball court. Things worked out for them in the world, but when it comes down to it, all that Christian subvertedness, what did it lead to? It led on to your own distraction. Okay? You can't even understand, right, the magnitude of the hatred that the Most High has against these people. Let's go to the book of Malachi real quick, man. It's going to be a good scripture to go to first and foremost. Right? It's going to be a good scripture to go to first and foremost. The Most High created Esau to be hated and to be destroyed. Malachi, the first chapter, and the second verse. I've loved you, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. Yet you say, wherein has the Lord loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Okay, saith Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. Yeah, I love Jacob, man. We're loved, man. Even in our cursed state, you can see the Most High put a beautiful spirit upon us. Even in our most lowest estate, you can see the Most High Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. He put a beautiful spirit upon us. You could dunk him from the free throw line. All right, I'll be at the job sometimes, and I'm thinking to myself, because I work like a technical job, and I'm thinking to myself, look, man, really these guys out here, they really only got one arena that they could say that they're better than Jacob, which is the academic thing, and the academic thing, really, we're catching up. You got to remember, Jacob's been in hardcore servitude for a period of around 300, 400 years, which really, that's no excuse right now. We got all kind of AI, all kind of, technology that we could use to close the gap. And most of all, we got the spirit of Yahweh Bashim outside that's backing us, man. So really, Esau ain't got nothing upon us, man. They really got nothing upon us. That's why they be doing the most within the workplace. That's why they be doing the most, because we're loved of Yahweh Bashim outside. Notwithstanding, the curses are going to afflict you. Things are going to happen that's strange. Things are going to happen that's strange, especially when you come into this truth. That's why the scripture says within the book of Ecclesiastes, prepare your heart for temptation. And part of the temptation when you come into this truth is a wacky-tacky Christian that cannot understand how rulerships and legacies work upon the face of the earth. If you don't have a ruling class of a mindset and a mentality, then you're going to be okay with the guy that came with he came with a spear and stabbed your mom. Okay, came with a spear and stabbed your grandma. Came with a spear and stabbed your baby. Okay? Now you're back on the earth. You're in the process of reincarnation, saying, man, we gotta save the Gentiles. This is what literally Esau did, okay? This is literally what Esau did when they pushed their hateful doctrine throughout the four corners of the earth. And now I can't read the scripture and say, no, you need to punish that. Now we're in 2026, okay? After 200 years of imperial rule, bloodshed, dividing borders via the sword, now we're going to speak about how we're supposed to not only forgive those particular acts, but the Most High ain't gonna have retribution for those particular acts. Hell to the no. Of course, the Most High was going to have retribution towards those acts. Go and read the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter, on a second. And when you come to understanding, you come to finding out that the Most High put it within Esau, his spirit, to be proud, okay, to be despicable, and ultimately to be a person that you would hate. The Most High created Esau to be like that. I've hated Esau. Woo! I hated Esau and laid his mountains and heritage waste. Where they say if we're impoverished and we return and built the desolate places. Let's read about building up the desolate places and some of the things that they did with their hateful doctrine. You see, you ain't gonna get Vocab, Malone, and all of them cats speak about these particular things. It's too uncomfortable for them to speak about these particular things. This is uncomfortable for them to speak about these particular things, but this is real history. This is real history. The doctrine that we speak really is good news. Why is it good news? Because it speaks to a day when these things that Esau did upon the face of the earth are going to be balanced. That's good news. A mathematician does not like unbalanced equations. The Most High is the ultimate mathematician. As a matter of fact, you go into that word math, it goes into the Hebrew word amath, meaning true. It is untrue that Esau is not going to be punished for the things that he did. That's untrue. He did too much, man. He did too much. How Christianity fueled imperialism. I'm talking about European Christianity, not Christianity with a sense of the book of Acts where it says, I believe it's the book of Acts where it says the Judeans were first called Christians at Antioch. I'm not talking about that form of Christianity. I'm talking about Edomite Christianity. They took the scriptures and justified themselves in their rule. Which, you speak to any average Edomite that talks about how it's for queen and country and all of that, man. The Edomite I'm talking about, man. Beer belly, okay, bald head, red face. That Edomite, you speak to them about the scriptures. They couldn't quote one scripture, man. They couldn't quote one scripture because the Bible's not for them. The Bible's not for them. What saith the scriptures? What do you have to do to declare my statutes? Right. So we're speaking about these Edomites that used a handful of scriptures. What's the popular scripture that comes to mind? Servants, be subject to your masters. They read that, gave you the slave Bible. Now you got dreadlocks. You're walking around the earth, and you're trying to confound the men that are actually giving you good news, man. Brother, it's good news, right? It's good news to know that the guy that literally destroyed the earth. There's no figuratively about it. It's not metaphorical. All right, via the Industrial Revolution, right, via widespread chemical use and plastics that don't degrade and just any facet of life that you see, asbestos within the building, whatever you look at, man, air you're breathing, just life is just being destroyed. This ain't how life's supposed to be, bruh. You ain't supposed to go into the beach and you see one whale, man. You're supposed to see a ton of whales. You ain't supposed to be going to the safari and that's the only time you see animals, man. The life's supposed to be teeming with life. This earth is supposed to be teeming with life, bro. When was the last time you seen some bees, some butterflies, the night butterfly of the month? When was the last time you seen that? Okay, but that fly is always in the house at summer, right? Okay? This guy literally destroyed the earth, man, with a hateful, I gotta read the book of Habakkuk, the second chapter, with a hateful, greedy mindset. He's greedy, he's totally greedy, insatiable. He cannot be satisfied, like it says in the book of Habakkuk, the second chapter. I gotta read that. That's how he destroyed the earth, and he used the scriptures to justify that. Now, are these guys going to go into breaking that down? A more so than that? Are they going to have a balanced, Are they going to have a balanced mindset in assessing what we're really preaching about it? And what are we really preaching? What are the men of the Lord really preaching? What are we really saying when we go out there into the camp? We're saying these actions that Esau did, the Most High is going to judge him for it. That's what we're really saying when we go out there to the camp. What are we really saying, man? We're saying, Esau, look, man, you did X, Y, and Z. This is what the scripture says. And not only that, you see the actions that you do that of a witchcraft nature? That's because you're a witch. Okay? That's because you're a demon. That's because you're Satan. And guess what? I hate Satan. Okay? I hate Satan. Esau is the physical counterpart upon the face of the earth for the spiritual demon Satan, man. They're the adversaries of life. What does Jake don't understand, or whoever don't understand about that within the earth today, man? They sacrifice children, okay? These guys drink blood. I'm supposed to love that? I'm supposed to love that? And we're speaking about specifically Esau and specifically the high levels of Esau right now. But that whole system of living trickles down to the average day Edomite. And if these average day Edomites was allowed to rule, they will continue their doctrine of hatefulness. Okay? Christianity fueled European imperialism by serving as the moral justification, legal backbone, and institutional vanguard, transforming what was a brutal campaign for resource. Okay, this was a brutal campaign for resource. 1800s, 1900s. A brutal campaign for resources. That's what these man was on. They was on a brutal campaign for resources. They left you Christianity and they took all the gold. Right? They left you plantation Christianity and took all the oil. They left you plantation Christianity and like the scripture says, they left you with their policies, man. The historical relationship between Christianity and imperial expansion functioned through several mechanisms. The theological justification, okay, the doctrine of discovery, the Great Commission, the natural laws of hierarchy. This is what they came up with guys, guys like Margaret Sanger. Who else comes to mind? Madame Blavatsky. Who else comes to mind, man? That's where you get your feminism and all of this. Who else comes to mind? Aleister Crowley, right? Who else comes to mind, man? My brain ain't braining right now. Albert Pike. All of these guys that it's documented that these guys were in the occult. It's written that they were in the occult. That became the framework and the backbone of the philosophy of the so-called laws of hierarchy that they had out there, where Esau thought he was the apex predator. How can you be the apex predator out here and you the smallest guy in the room, man? Okay, you getting flustered talking to a woman. You're talking about you the apex? You're talking about you the apex. Placing Christian Europeans as the apex to govern over a savage and backward society. y'all ain't been out here, in Glasgow, out there on a night out. Okay, you want to see savage and backwards? Go out there amongst them Newcastle lads. Okay, go out there amongst them Leeds Edomites, man. You're gonna see some backwards stuff, man. Go out there on a football night. You're gonna see some backwards behavior. The hell are you talking about, man? Okay, civilization was on an advanced state before Esau came up with his hateful doctrine. Okay, the civilizing commission, that's BS. They was strong, right? They were strong, beautiful civilizations out there within the world before Esau came out there. Why did these guys think that they civilized the world? How did you civilize the world? You didn't formulate mathematics. Mathematics dudes were doing mathematics for the longest amount of time, man. Okay? Algebra, that goes back into Arabic. That's an Arabic word. Okay? Pythagoras, all of that. These guys came up with these Edomite names, but Pythagoras, the so-called theorem that they attribute to Pythagoras, that was there from before, right? I mean, you must know that was there from before that. So what did you really give us? The English language? Because math, you didn't come up with math. Now, I ain't gonna lie. The Most High blessed with Esau with a sword, with the technology. Yeah, you elevated the game when it comes to the sciences and that's part of your blessing. I ain't gonna lie. But civilization? Come on, man. Man, you guys can't even have a civilized conversation amongst themselves. And that goes all the way back to the beginning. Even the foundation of Esau, when you read about the Maccabees, in the book of the Maccabees, you read about the Greeks, they was always infighting. You're the most uncivilized, undignified, savage individuals upon the face of the earth. You're the ones that's dropped more bombs than anybody else upon the face of the earth. Talking about civilized, man. Y'all are crazy. This is a doctrine of what's the word I'm looking for here? This was the doctrine of hate that they pushed out there, and they used the scripture to justify it. But again, like I say, you got these guys out here like Vocab and these flunkies and these followers and all of that. And they ain't gonna go into that history. They're gonna say that's gonna be forgiven, right? According to them. Whereas we, the men at Great Millstone and the men that teach the name Yahweh Shai, we're really giving the world, at large, outside of Esau, the good news. With the caveat being the heathen are going into slavery. You partook in our downfall. You must needs be going into slavery. That is the rules. That is the balance that must needs be struck upon the face of the earth. It will be unbalanced. It will be unjustified if the Arabs, if the Elamites did not suffer for what they did unto the children of Israel. However, after you served your punishment, after you served your punishment for touching a king, for touching a prince, for touching a princess, you're going to enjoy the earth underneath our rule. That's some damn good news right there. And you know what? Even the birds are going to rejoice. The fish are going to rejoice, man. When we're in rulership, everybody's going to rejoice, man. Get the hell out of here. What you talking about, man? What you talking about, Willis? What you talking about? Everyone's going to rejoice. I'm going to get that next in the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter. Then we can close out in the book of the 2nd chapter. Revelation 13 and 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. You're going into slavery if you let a people into slavery. That was also part of the imperialism, the doctrine of hate that Esau pushed out there. Why are dudes walking around the face of the earth as if to say the guys that they're calling a hateful group are not the children of slaves? Okay? Why are you going up to a bunch of men that are the children of slaves, calling them a hateful group? Right? When they're recognizing that they are the children of slaves and they are hoping, praying, okay, and reading about a deliverer. The hell is wrong with that? Doth not the scripture say the captive hasten to be delivered? Doth not the scripture say the captive hasten to be delivered? Are the brothers out there within America, are they in the land that they was taken from? No. If they went back to Africa, would they be in the land that they was taken from? Would that be their homeland, Salakia? No. Okay? We know where our homeland is. We know where our whole homeland is, man. We're going back to Jerusalem. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Got to go to the book of Revelation 6 and 4. Got to go to the book of Revelation 6 and 4. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword, right? That's the doctrine of hate that Esau pushes out there throughout the four corners of the earth. Via the sword, he expounded. Via what? Via the so-called wacky-tacky plantation Christianity doctrine, they push themselves throughout the four corners of the earth, right? In their fight for resources and their desire for resources. We're going to read about that within the book of Hebrew, the second chapter. I keep on mentioning that. Okay, insatiable. Revelation 6 and 4, it says, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given unto him that sat thereon to take peace away from the earth, and that they should kill one another. Is this love? I mean, that's what Esau brought to the earth. Is that love? Is that a doctrine of love? Let me tell you, let me ask you something, man. These guys are protesting against us, but are they going to protest? And let me speak like a man right now, right? Let me speak like a wacky-tacky Christian, right? Are they out there protesting against the war against Iran, which we know, the men of the Lord, we know what that's all about. But are they protesting against that? Isn't that a doctrine of hate? You're going to go out there to the so-called White House and protest against that? No, you're going to come up and follow us throughout the four corners of the earth talking about, you're hateful. Meanwhile, your leaders are dropping bombs on the so-called innocent, which we know that's all prophetic. And we know that must needs happen. But guess what we're also saying? We're saying unto them Iranians and the Israelites, specifically amongst those Iranians, we're saying, look, man, you got dropped because Esau was insatiable. Guess what? The Most High haven't forgotten. That's good news. Even unto them heathen that's in them lands, we're saying unto them, look, man, you're going to serve us. But guess what? When we're in rulership underneath Yahushua, this ain't going to happen again. After you served us, right, in your hardcore slavery, you're going to serve us and continue to serve us, but you're going to be good. Nobody's going to wake up one day, press a red button, and your whole world be obliterated with ICBM and radiations. That's not going to happen, right? Unless you go off, unless the Most High has it to where that happens, okay? But that's unlikely to happen. Underneath the Esau rulership, man, it's a bunch of madness, bro. Anything can happen. I could be sitting here in the car park and ICBM dropped, and they'll justify it tomorrow on the news, okay? That's how it is out here, because guess what? Power was given unto him to take peace away from the earth. Now, I quote the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter. We're going to go into this tomorrow in greater detail. Isaiah, the 14th chapter. Isaiah, the 14th chapter. And I'm just going to get one piece out of this. I'm not going to go into this in super duper detail. We're going to go through this tomorrow at the camp. I'm going to spend some time in this, man. But there's a point that is relevant to us here. Okay, Isaiah 14 and 8. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars, saying, since thou art laid down, no one has come up against us. Okay? 6th verse. He that smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted, and none hindereth. Because when it comes down to it, the vast majority of the people of the world understand this man to be the devil and the devil, the hateful creature. And when you really break this down to a Pakistani, the Pakistani's gonna understand. We ain't gonna accept is that he's going into slavery. You break it down to Elam and say, Elam, yo, look, man, you know what happened to your people? Yahweh didn't forget, but guess what? He also didn't forget that you profited in that. Okay, you profited in us being in slavery, right? But we get it though. Your people they got mashed up too. Okay, the Most High didn't forget that. The Most High is going to judge Esau for that too. Right? But guess what? We're the chosen of the Most High. So when you touched us, when we was going into the shop and you was following us around the shop, well, you're going to have to get judged for that. Okay? That's what they're going to resist at first. But once that hammer comes down, they ain't got no choice, man. You're going to have to take the licks. Okay? When the hammer comes down, you're going to have to take the licks. But after you're taking your licks, guess what, man? You're going to enjoy the earth. You're going to enjoy the earth, man. You could be in there cooking curry and that. Yo, Elam, don't worship the rat. Don't worship the rat. That's what we're going to be saying. Because we're going to be administering how to live upon the face of the earth. Okay? We're going to be the nation of kings and priests. That's what we're going to be doing, man. So the Most High is not going to forget him above all else, man. The Most High, you know, vocab's always got a bunch of Israelites around him. It's you Israelites that have been hurt the most by Esau, and you're the ones that find it the most difficult to understand. You're the ones that find it most difficult to understand. You can go to the Chinaman and say, look, man, Chinaman, okay, what if I told you that there's going to come a day where there's going to be a retribution for everything that these so-called Edomites, of these so-called Spanish, the French, all of that, them guys that ripped you off, there's going to be a retribution for what they've done. Man, dude's going to smile. Minute you say, okay, but guess what? You're going to have to go into slavery. You might not be smiling anymore. But the point I'm trying to make is this. For an Israelite, that should be good news because you're not going into slavery. You're going into a position of rulership. So why does Jake have a problem with this, man? Why you call this a doctrine of hate when it's the good news that even the ants upon the face of the earth, they're looking forward to, man? The pigeon flying in the sky, he's looking forward to Yahweh Shai coming, man. The swans in the lake, they're looking for the rulership of Yahweh Shai. Okay, the rat that runs around eating a fried chicken, fried chicken nugget from Mackie D's, he's looking for Yahweh Shai to come because he's going to get to eat proper food, man. It's only an Israelite. It's only an Israelite's got a problem with that, man. But you know what? The scripture speaks about that. The ox knoweth its owner, the ass is master crib, but people don't consider. Isaiah 1:1, Isaiah 1:3, I already quoted it. I ain't got to read it again, man. Israel don't consider, man, a sinful nation, man. You don't consider these things. This is good news, bro. This is good news for everything and everybody upon the face of the earth, with the caveat being the heathens are going to go into this hardcore slavery, and also, too, that Esau is going to be wiped off the face of the earth. Now, I'm going to get this right quick. This is going to be the last scripture. It's a doctrine of hate right here. The real doctrine of hate. Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, right? The 5th verse. Yet also because he transgressed by wine. This is Esau. He's lifted up in pride. Okay, he's a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desires as hell. He is as hell. How am I not supposed to hate that? More so than that, doth not the scripture say, don't I hate them that hate thee, O Yahweh Shai? How am I not supposed to hate that? Neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desires as hell and cannot be satisfied. How are you not supposed to hate an insatiable guy that just wants? But gathereth unto himself all nations and heapeth unto himself all people. And what did it say here within this article right here? Or this what it does is what's the word I'm looking for? It compiles all the articles together to give you an answer. So I said how Christianity fueled imperialism, and this is European imperialism. It says this, right? This is what we just read within the book, the 2nd chapter. It's a moral justification, right, for legal backbone for institution of vanguard, transforming what was often a brutal campaign for resources extraction into the divinely sanctioned civilization mission. This is what Esau came up with, man, which is a hateful doctrine. That's the real hateful doctrine. What we got is the real good news for us, for the animals, for the elephant. The elephant's got good news, man. You ain't gonna be getting hunted down for your tusk no more. Rhino's got good news, man. You ain't gonna be hunted down for your tusk no more, man. Ostrich he's got good news, man. You ain't gonna be eating no more, man. You ain't supposed to be eating. You unclean, man. Go out there and just do the ostrich thing. Okay? The chicken's gonna rejoice because you ain't gonna be over farmed. You're gonna be intensively farmed like the cow. Your cow's gonna be rejoicing, man. And damn sure an Israelite's supposed to be rejoicing because the scripture says you ain't gonna be thrown into prison unnecessarily, overburdened unnecessarily. Okay, the history of your people being massacred, that's not going to be forgotten anymore. Okay, so that's great news. That's good news. But for Esau, yeah, well, you know what? I suppose it is hateful. But the scripture says, the Most High hateth Esau. So, I'm okay with that. With that, I'm going to say all praise unto Yahweh Shai, Bashim Ko Hakodash. Double honors unto the apostles, a great millstone. And ownership brothers to be pushing these truth in sincerity. Hopefully this video has been of edification. Right? And I'll see you on the next one. Shalom. Yabashima Shabashim Ko Hakodash. Barakatham. Barakatham. All right. Shalom. 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 Shalom.